This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
All right, we are back for episode number 4 with Jay Painter, and we're going to continue on here on the Craig L. Hayes Show. I am Craig L. Hayes, and we're going to wrap this interview up by talking a little bit about memories and some of the things. He's giving you a pretty good detailed history on his work history. Let's talk about a few things that I know you've talked to me about, and I'll remind you of them. And we mentioned quickly about working for my grandfather back at Stage Sound in the 1960s. What did you learn from him?
Just not to fall off the ladder, for one thing.
That's a very important lesson. So all you people don't know, falling off a ladder, you can get hurt.
Hazardous to your health.
Grandpa could be cantankerous.
Oh, yeah.
Grandpa could be, I wouldn't say compassionate.
No, not at all.
No, Grandpa was a character. Grandpa had a very tough upbringing, and he had a very, very difficult childhood when he growing up and stuff like that. And then he was in those unions back when he was in the projections part of the stagehands up in Logan, Utah, when theater owners decided they wanted to break the union by breaking skulls. So he got to actually get in those big fights with management's goons versus the unions, when it was actually physical confrontations.
Granddad is one of the founding members of Local 720.
Actually, everyone always thinks that, but he's not. He didn't come to town till 41.
Okay.
It was founded in 39, and he came in as a projectionist. Back then, the local was only a projection local.
Right.
And people always think he founded it. What he did found, and this is very important, he didn't found Local 720. He actually started the stagehand side of Local 720 by negotiating the first stagehands deal with Bugsy Siegel.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And that's, when they were building the Flamingo, Bill Wilkerson had already been pushed out the door by Bugsy. Because people always think Bugsy started the Flamingo, and I talk about it in the book. When you read the book, I give the actual history on it. Bill Wilkerson was a gambler, degenerate gambler, basically. He loved gambling, so he figured the best way is have his own place he could gamble all he wants, and it wouldn't cost him anything. And so he started building the Flamingo, and when Bugsy Siegel saw it, and Bill Wilkerson was having a hard time getting things, materials to build this place because we were just coming out of World War II.
Right.
And we were still in a war economy. We weren't in a peace economy. So getting steel, getting concrete, all this stuff that had been dedicated to taking care of the war effort, it was just starting to come back around into the economy, and hard to get because so many people wanted it. Well, Bugsy said, I can get it for you, because the mob will find it and make deals and take care and make sure it happens. And so they agreed to do that. And after a while, Bugsy started pushing on him to get out, and Bill Wilkerson took off, went back to LA, and never came back to Vegas.
A lot of people don't know that the original Flamingo building, A, had 16-inch thick concrete walls, and B, it wasn't the building on the strip. It was the building behind the strip on the other side of the pool.
Bugsy's hideout.
Yeah.
His armored hideout, basically. Yeah, so anyways, he's on a handshake. Him and Bugsy Siegel agreed that stagehands would do all the work on all entertainment facilities within the Flamingo Hotel, and boom, Local 720 Stagehand Division was born.
Yep. I remember when they found that safe underneath his office, and there was a big deal on it on the papers for a couple of weeks, and they had, who's that? I can't remember. He's Geraldo. Came in and they did a TV special, and they opened the safe and it was empty.
Yeah. Just like the one in Chicago.
Yeah.
Jeez, it has 2-for-2 strikeout, huh? Well, you got to work with a lot of Hayeses. My uncle, I know, or uncles, and my dad. Obviously, you worked with my dad. I think at Caesar's Palace at one time. You'd told me way back when, and worked with my uncle Gordon.
I worked with Gil too.
And Gil.
Yeah.
Well, you worked with all the main ones then. So, yeah, Gordon was an audio savant, basically.
Audio genius.
Yeah. And he basically, he had the first IBEW electrician's card. His card is number 1.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's in the book. I'm telling you, that book has got some stuff in there. You're just going to go, wow. I worked with these guys and had no idea. They were my uncles. I had no idea.
Right.
It was so amazing to do that book and just read and go, what? What was this about again? Yeah. Finding out things from my cousins, and stuff. It was amazing. And some of the entertainers, you worked with a couple that had some reputations, we'll say that, a porn star named Marilyn Chambers,
Yeah, Marilyn.
and everyone just thought that she was that person in the movies everywhere she went. It was not.
It was all bullshit. They trashed her.
Yeah.
I mean, admittedly, she, did that for a living.
Yeah.
But she wasn't the whore, I guess you'd call her, that everybody assumed her to be. She was actually quite a nice lady.
Because you did a couple shows with her at the Plaza, right?
I did Mind with a Dirty Man. She also did Last of the Red Hot Lovers, but that was before my time.
Mind with a Dirty Man. That's a good title. Yeah. And, and a lot of people think that she went out there and her whole role would have been get out and get naked and have sex in front of you. No, that's
No, she actually
it was
wasn't
an
a half.
actress. She was an actress.
She wasn't a half-bad actress at all.
No.
And I think, Maynard Sloat, who was the entertainment director, was very sharp in bringing her in because of the name appeal. Everybody knew who she was, everybody knew what she did, and everybody wanted to see her in person. And that kept those shows open for a long time. I think her manager's name was Chuck Trainer, and he kept a pretty close eye on her.
Well, you would have to because, we're all adults here, so let's just be adults. A lot of people would think that, those characters were what she would do when she wasn't on stage. No, it's like the performers we have worked with over our lives. I've worked with some people that go out on stage and have the biggest, attitudes out there. Andrew Dice Clay.
Mm-hmm.
I love Andrew Dice Clay. But I'll tell you, before he goes out there on stage, he's back there pacing. He's a little bit nervous about what he's doing. He's getting some stage fright a little bit, And there's enough secrets about this. This isn't anything that would harm anybody. But then when he walks through that curtain, goes out on that stage, he takes over. He's Andrew Dice Clay. He's going to tell you some jokes and blow you away. It's watching that is amazing, and you've watched it over the years. Watch these guys go out there, and women that, get nervous and stuff like that. They're going on stage, but once they get out there, they take command.
It's like you threw a switch.
Yeah, exactly that switch goes on in their head. Boom, take over. I'm the star. And they go out there and they kill it.
And that's not easy to do.
No,
Not at all.
No, that's not easy to do at all.
If you can get over the stage fright.
Yeah, because
Then you have to.
Because walking out in front of a lot of people and possibly making a fool of yourself is not an easy thing to do.
No.
But if you're going to be an entertainer, you better get over it quick. Some of them turn to help in a bottle or chemical to get them to do that, but they don't last long when they do that.
No.
Yeah. No, I've heard some stories about like the Marilyn Chambers and others and stuff like that, and you just go, how much is it real? It's
very little of it. Most of it was bullshit.
Yeah.
If you want to find out who she was, she wrote a column for Penthouse, I think it was, called Private Chambers, and she was given marital advice, and that's where the real Marilyn Chambers came out. You can never find an issue and read that column. It's educational.
Yeah. So that puts to bed that rest. I've gone from my uncles and my grandfather to Marilyn Chambers. I don't know how we did that so quick, but we did.
Everybody wants to know.
Everybody wants to know the truth. This is the life behind this curtain. This is what goes on, guys. This is what happens, and one of the things I always tell people is it's the stories we tell on this are PG-13. We all have the R and the X-rated stories from backstage, but
Right.
we don't talk about those.
Are you sure you want to know?
Yeah, you probably don't want to know a lot of that stuff. The stuff there I wish I never knew.
Now you got me to thinking about Bobby Vinton.
Bobby Vinton.
Yeah, he played the Flamingo. That was the Flamingo. In the old, they opened up the old showroom for him, and this is how I got in the union. Pat Cross, who was the head carpenter at the Flamingo, his job was to close the main curtain at the end of the show, and when he wasn't doing his job, he was taking Bobby's groupies back in the. I need go no further, but I learned to watch for him, and one night it was time for the curtain to come down, and he wasn't there.
He was occupied, huh?
He was occupied, right? So I ran back and closed the curtain, and he came out just as I pushed the button, and he asked me if I had $500, and I said no, but I can get it. He says, go down to the hall tomorrow. They'll be waiting for you, and that's how I got in. Pat Cross.
How about that?
I mean, John Knight had a lot to do with it. He wanted me to get in, but because of Gordon Coker and Al Ritzer, they had something going. They wouldn't let me come in for some reason. And after Pat Cross fixed it, I went down there and paid him the $500 and got my card. Yeah. And it wasn't, back then, you were a journeyman in everything. So it was what do they call it, multi-craft local. You had to know how to rig, you had to know how to fly, you had to know sound, you had to know lighting, spotlight. If you didn't know all that, you really didn't get much work. Spotlight operators were the best. They all were always, if you were a good spotlight operator, you didn't have to worry about an income.
Yeah, and I think that's still kind of today on a lot of things, but because we don't have a lot of the guys, the old spot ops, the guys that were like artists with it. Time goes on, these guys go by the wayside and into the ground. And
well, here's how you know. If the guy comes in on a spot call and he stands behind the light, send him home because he don't know what he's doing. If he gets on the right side of the light and does this, you know you got yourself an operator.
Yeah. Yep.
It may not be a good one, but
at least he might be able to get the light in the general direction.
Yeah. But I still remember the ashtray practice. And
well, go ahead and explain that. You go ahead and explain that ashtray practice, which was great practice.
Well, they put ashtrays at various tables in the showroom, and I don't remember how they called our attention to it, but they used a flashlight or something to hit the ashtray, and it was your job to pick the ashtray up as quickly and as accurately as possible. And the other one was picking somebody up when they came on stage. You couldn't anticipate it. You had to catch them just as they came out. Yep. And when they were practicing you, they hit the curtain. And 9 times out of 10, a newbie would open the light. And, of course, it looked like hell.
Yep. Practice, 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 like anything else. How do I get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice.
Exactly.
Well, good. Any other stories you can think of? Some of the things, I'm trying to remember some of the stuff because you and I have been around a lot together on shows, and mainly Splash. After that, we pretty much didn't get around each other a lot, other than the here and there. And then when you came back over to the Hilton when I was there for a few years. What any acts stand out in your mind that you really enjoyed running their sound? Let's go back to the sound. Let's always go back to the sound when we can.
Sanford and Young.
Sanford and Young.
Yep. Sanford was kind of a shaky, but Young was a professional all the way through. He had an excellent voice. He could carry a tune perfectly, and he was funny. So I remember them. They're the ones that stick out in my mind. There was, it's hard to remember because I did so many. I mean, for what, 35 years, I ran act after act after act. Ever heard of Lovelace Watkins?
Oh yeah.
Great man, brilliant singer, and I always loved it when he came in. The only thing I didn't like is he would dance on the mic cord, and sometimes he would break the cord. So I always had 3 mic cords coiled up on stage right. And if the mic went out, I trained him, go get that mic and come back out and I'll know which one it is. Because I put colored tape around the body of the mic. But man, he was such a nice man. And
I hadn't thought about that name in a long time. Man, that's right. I remember him being here in town all the time.
yeah, he
Wow.
paid about 3. He did the Silverbird, and I think he did the Flamingo Lounge. But yeah, he was a brilliant singer. So I can't think of anybody. Bobby Vinton was, well, I can't think of anybody else. Oh, the Fifth Dimension, they were great. I worked them a lot. I did lasers and sound for them a couple of times. I went out on the road.
I remember when they were in Splash. They did one of the specialty spots there.
Right, I
In the
remember
early
that.
days of Splash. I wasn't there at that time. I came over there a couple of years later. I think that thing opened in '85 or '6 or something like that, and I came over in '88.
Yeah, they caused me a bit of grief. Somehow I got their Fifth Dimension logo digitized so I could put it on the laser computer. And the person that came in behind him was furious because he didn't want to spend $1,000 for a frame of his logo. So he didn't get it. I did, what did they call it? WordFire. It was just text, typewriter text that went across the screen, and he was furious. And I said, well, you can either take this or you can go to Laser Media and spend $1,000 and get your logo digitized. And his next argument was, well, where else will I use it? Where else will I use it? And I said, I don't know, that's your problem.
Yeah, it's not exactly your problem to deal with that. So
No, but Laser Media was way overpriced. Way overpriced. And I remember a couple of times, well, we did the movie lot for Staying Alive. John Travolta and who was the other guy? I can't think of his name. He's a big star. He played Vinnie Barbarossa in one of the TV comedies.
John Travolta,
Yeah, Travolta. Where was I going?
Staying Alive.
Oh yeah, we did the whole laser thing, the laser opening, and they wanted one more effect, and I think it was a laser cone. And by this time, they're spending like many thousands of dollars to have these laser effects included in the film. And Ron of Laser Media ended up, he says, well, we want another $1,000 for that. The next thing I know, my equipment, the laser, everything, out in the fucking parking lot. They just wouldn't go for it. But that's the way Ron was. He was always trying to, wheedle the last buck out of somebody.
The guy that did the lasers, Rob Mishika.
Yeah,
Does that sound right?
yeah. Rob, R-O-B,
Yeah, Rob Mishika.
right.
Yeah.
Ron Goldstein brought him into Laser Media. And then he started doing his own company, and he found Halia Polid, who I haven't been able to find for a long time because I wanted her to do some work. She did all his digitizing. And what happened is she worked for Laser Media, and they owed her a bunch of money, so she took the digitizing station in lieu of the money. And then she started selling the logos, as they call them, the graphics. Laser Media wanted $1,000 a frame. If she had the frame on file, it was $50. If she had to digitize it for you, it was $250. Needless to say, who got the business?
Oh yeah. Because back then, $1,000 was a lot of money.
Ain't nothing to sneeze at now.
Well, no, I'm talking back, 70s and 80s. $1,000, that was a huge chunk of change. Back in the 70s, you could buy a Toyota Corolla for $2,000. So
Yeah, now they're 30.
yeah, another 30, 40, 50, ridiculous. So yeah, so that was ridiculous money back then. here, want to put it in here, digitize it, $1,000. It took you 10 minutes. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Usually it was only good for like 30 seconds or so. Because if you did a sequence, the images would come up, you know, to the music. So if you paid $1,000 for an image, the audience may only see it for 5-10 seconds. And the one that I remember, somehow somebody got Liza Minnelli's portrait caricature digitized. And when Gibbs was running the lasers and I was doing the very lights, she almost had him fired because he kept bringing that laser graphic of her up, and she hated it. And every chance he got, he'd bring it up, and he almost got him fired.
Well, you know what? George has done some pretty stupid stuff in his life. Yeah.
He did, and he's paying for it now.
Yeah. Well, Jay, anything last to wrap this up? We're down the last about 5 minutes here. Anything else you can think of? I sure have appreciated working with you and knowing you over these years since
me too.
'88. And I think we had a few laughs together. And, you know, I was in my young days when I was at Splash, so full of piss and vinegar and troublemaker.
Do you have the picture?
Which picture?
The one that was taken with all the casts on the steps going up the tank?
I probably do somewhere. Yeah.
I'll dig it out. I've got it. You're in it.
Oh, am I?
Yeah. The one I never got to do was I was going to stand up on the bridge over the tank and take a squeeze bottle and squeeze food-colored dyed yellow water while I was standing there with my back to the camera. I never did that. I should have.
Well, that tank had all kinds of stuff in it, from alligators to everything else.
Oh, yeah.
Tahar. Wow, what a show.
I remember when the alligator somehow they were trying to put him in the box, and he was over the fountains, the 4 tanks, and somehow he shit in one of the tanks. And 5 minutes later, there was a film about that high in the tank of this milky colored water. Were you there when that happened?
And I don't remember. I don't remember that happening.
They had to drain the tank, run chlorine through all of the plumbing, steam clean the lower tanks and the swimming tank. It took about a week to get the show back after that. Tahar.
Certain animals and shows do not belong there.
These are kids. Animals, kids.
Yeah.
W.C. Fields used to say that. Never work with animals or kids.
Yep. I like kids if they're cooked right. Well, Jay, it's been a pleasure.
It has, Greg. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, and it's been so good to finally get together with you on this. I know we've been talking about it for a couple months. But
I'm
finally
sorry, my mic technique isn't what it could be.
Yeah. I'm sorry that took a couple months for us to get together on this and make it happen, but it certainly has been worth it, you know.
Well, it's good to have old memories.
Yeah, and this will be on YouTube probably in the next several days. In a few days, I'll let you know, and it'll be on YouTube, and you just pull it up. You can listen to yourself talking on the show.
Oh, lovely.
But until then, you can enjoy that book that I gave you on the history of Las Vegas.
I will.
You'll read it and go, yep, I know that. I know them. I know him.
Did you ever read The Greenfelt Jungle?
No.
See if you can find a copy of it, because that's where they discuss people being asked to leave the casino while the mobsters were carrying gasoline cans inside.
Yeah, when the guys are saying you want to get out of here and they're carrying a gas can, you probably want to get out.
It was the El Rancho.
Yeah. It's probably a good idea to get out, you know. It's a good clue.
Eleanor Roosevelt. Did you know that she had her own private suite on that property?
At the El Rancho?
Yeah, at the old El Rancho on the corner of the Strip in Sahara.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yep. And then when they tore the El Rancho down, they took Eleanor Roosevelt's suite and moved it over to the university, and it's now on the grounds at UNLV.
Oh, how about that? Sometimes we do save a little bit of the history. They didn't save Bugsy's bunker. They just jackhammered that out of there and got rid of it. So
Yeah.
to put up another tower or what, you know. more convention, more something, you know. But anyways, Dave, appreciate you. I've enjoyed our friendship over the years, enjoyed working with you. We're almost at 40 years knowing each other,
Yeah,
and you've known the family for 60 years.
I have.
You know, you're probably the only person I've interviewed so far that ever worked for my grandfather at Stage Sound and Equipment, besides my dad and my uncles, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of people around that worked for that company, and
Your granddad was hellfire, but I sure learned a lot from him.
he could teach you about anything. The man was brilliant at
And
electrical.
one of the things that he beat into my head, as hard as it took, was discipline on stage. A lot of people go on stage and they're not disciplined and they fuck up.
Yeah. And then they pay the price because they're out of work because they weren't disciplined, you know. Showbiz is a tough life. It's a great life, but it's a tough life.
Yeah, not many people realize that.
And I'm glad I'm a part of it. So,
Yeah, me too.
or was a part of it, and still doing a little bit like this. This
Oh,
is
you still are.
this is my part of showbiz. I'm still doing. But anyways, thank you, Jay, and
Welcome. Well, remember, old stagehands don't die. They just fade away.
we just fade away. They turn the lights down on us, and we go away. So that's about it for that. So, folks, until the next episode, I don't know who I'm doing next. This is it, and Talbot, take it away.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.